Hello and welcome to EMUCC 2022 here in Wrocław, Poland. Bringing you the action from Europe's finest Masters teams, starting here from the Open Masters division with an all-German affair with Wolpertinger from München taking on Hamburg's Hardfisch. Benjamin Rees alongside Rachel Czasznerova, who we'll hear from very shortly. We've got Hardfisch now, just outside the end zone, after going through a strenuous warm-up, breaking towards the near side, in the centre of the pitch. Going to try and run a little bit of nice handler movement. Clever sag off the mark there. We'll stop that. Trying to zip that one through to an open target, and Hardfisch here will take the lead 1-0. Rachel, good morning.
And that was a break, Benji.
It was indeed. Well spotted. Yeah, Hardfisch beginning this game by pulling and then getting the turnover relatively quickly and punching it in to boot. Have to say, it's a pretty efficient start for the I was going to say for the Germans. They're all German. For hamburgers? Whatever someone from Hamburg's called.
As you said, Benji, there was a very, very strenuous and efficient warm-up from Hardfisch. They do seem to be taking their preparation quite seriously, and that only proves that warm-ups are good for you. And the youngsters have a lot of things to learn from these experienced players.
Let's go, get down there, boys! Come on, defense!
Pull goes up, and Wolpertinger will try again with their own line. It seems like Hardfisch are giving them a hard time with a bit of poachy D. Hartmann now with a disc.
Nicely done.
We really hope that everyone at home can hear me. Because my
Vulpetinga seem to have found a little bit more of a rhythm now. And I guess that's the commentator's curse that's come in there, trying to sneak towards the far side, and a Hardfisch hand gets in there to knock it away.
Wenzel was trying to really step out and get that disc around the defender, but Hardfisch were in the way, and now they will go the other way.
Visa finds the underneath cut of Schnitzke. Doesn't like his reset option, and on a high stall elects to put it deep, see if he can get a receiver a chance to make a play. Well, that's how you answer the call. And then continued into the end zone. Baumeister finds his target, and another break for Hardfisch. They've taken a 2-0 lead now.
Great start for the team from Hamburg. We do have quite windy conditions, and it is quite cold, even though the weather forecast is about 19 degrees and sunny in the afternoon, so we're still awaiting that. But Hamburg taking no chances. They are quite used to wind. I think they have told us before the game that they have participated in their own Rumble tournament just a few weeks ago, and it was very windy on the first day, so they have had some practice in the windy conditions.
Yeah, obviously you want to play in immaculate conditions all the time, but you can't always have that, so the ability to try and to play your best when the conditions are not at their nicest is definitely a skill that you would hope players of this experience level would have.
We saw Tim Grunwald, coach of Hardfisch, giving some last-minute advice for the defensive line.
Hand block down the near side.
Really struggling with their offense right now, trying out different things, but Hardfisch just seemed relentless on the defense.
Hirten able to get the block right out the sideline in front of our camera. Now Visa picks up with a chance to make it 3-0. But that time, Vulpetinga turn it back for their first block of the game.
coming in. 2 players underneath, and the Hardfisch player number 68, Hutchinson, gets there first.
Yeah, just hung that up there maybe a little bit too much. Allow the defender to get an opportunity to knock that away. Maybe a little bit of a height advantage there from Hutchinson. Utilise that effectively.
But that's the furthest Wolpertinga's got so far with the disc, so we will take that as good progress.
Underneath cut from Volverk. Oh, a little bit of a clash on the on that upline cut, and I think Michael Falkenberg's going to call the foul here. There is the sun beginning to poke out. It's not quite in full flow yet, but it's getting there. Turning, looking for the reset. Uses that offhand. Get it back to Vorwerk. He and Falkenberg working it nicely in the backfield. Well-timed swing cut from Hutchinson, who forced the turnover with that deep defence. And now here's the put looking deep. I don't know if this has got enough on it, and actually, I think the defender there just suckered Mareka into getting too far underneath the disc and guilty of making a little bit of a misread.
Ungermann picks up for Wolpertinger. Now stuck on the sideline, looking for option. Finds Ungermann. He puts it to the break side. Defender's there, and another defender saves the day, smacks it to the ground.
Yeah, I've said on various live streams over various years that people need to catch their D, and we very nearly had a good example of why, because almost allowed Vulpetinga to get a second look at that they should never have had, but they do get the turn, and now Hardfisch are going to use this opportunity to call a timeout, looking to break to go at 3-0. So, having taken the timeout here, Hardfisch going to come back in on offense. Already broken on the first 2 points of this game. A third here would put them in a very enviable position.
So far we've seen some quite boring German ultimate with regular looking downfield first and then a proper secure safe dump and swing. Looking for a deep option to open.
That's a nice upline cut though. The offhand backhand releases it and the deep look is going. There's a couple of receivers there. One of them reels it in. It's Mareka looking to lead that into the end zone. Just sneaks it past the hand of Lindemann into Hutchinson's clutches. And it's another break for Hardfisch. Hamburg go up 3-0 on their München opponents.
And now the fellas from Munich will need to step out their game as they go into a timeout of their own to make sure they collect themselves and do not let the start of this game slip away even more.
Yeah, looks like we're going to have another timeout here. This one I expect being taken by Wolpertinger. And, you know, it makes sense. First game of the tournament against a national rival, and hasn't exactly gone to plan from a Wolpertinger perspective.
I agree. We've heard from the coach of Hardfisch that this is sort of a replacement for a German Masters Championship that did not take place this year. And Hardfisch, their goal for this tournament, besides the preparation for Limerick, is also to come up on top out of these 3 German teams participating here in Wrocław.
Yeah, Goldfingers from Potsdam also in the Open Masters division, and Hardfisch will actually play them in their next game.
So they might reach their goal pretty early in the tournament.
They can. It's on the table for them. It's very much on the table for them. Vulpetinga just getting some last-minute instruction as they break their huddle.
And another O-line will try its luck.
You may have been able to hear there on the effects microphone the volunteers to our right blowing the whistle to help effectively keep track of these of timings between points, timeouts, calls, all those sorts of things to help the game flowing in a timely manner.
So useful, so useful. Thank you, all volunteers. Thank you to all of you who are participating at the tournaments and helping the players and the fans enjoy the games even more.
That is a brilliant pull from Hardfisch that'll pin Vulpetinga in their own end zone.
Again, that poachy look from Hardfisch. Vulpetinga looking for the spaces in between. They seem to find them a bit better this time. Wenzel now stop the movement of the disc as Hardfisch transition into match defense. Nice pop to the sideline to Seiler.
2 players crossing over each other there, so just going to get a chance to retain positions off that pick. That seems like a fair enough call. Looking at it again on the replay.
And Seiler with a nice around as he finally finds number 23 in the end zone. The first point on the scoreboard for Vulpetinga.
Yeah, was just about able to sneak that one, bend it round the defender. It's taken them a lot longer than they would have wanted it to. But on the other hand, you took the time out for exactly this reason. Try and get your offense set. This time, despite the good pull and being penned in deep, they didn't look particularly phased at any point, I don't think.
He spots the nice face guarding from the Hamburg team and just puts the disc right around the defender. Nice replay of it from another angle. Just as the defender stops looking, he sneaks it around.
So this could potentially be the start of something from Wolpertinger, as we're going to see Hardfisch's first O-line of the game. Going to gain some yards there to Meistering. Meistering underneath to Fergman. Just taking that reset when it's available. Nice sensible ultimate. Nice little switch there to poach in that lane. But the cutter runs through it. The switch reverts. Back in the hands now of Meistering. Meistering unleashes a rip deep. He's got a target. Tracking towards the back of the end zone. Well read by Aaron Spector. First O point. Pretty efficient one for Hardfisch. Not that we'd expect anything else from the way they've started this game. And they've restored their 3-point advantage at 4-1.
Spector getting in the position early and maintaining it throughout for an easy catch in the end zone.
Yeah, tracked it well over his head. It was drawing a little bit towards this near side, but not a problem for a player the quality of Spector. Moreau's desperately trying to close that gap, but just too much separation in the end.
It was a lefty backhand, so it curved slightly unexpectedly, as opposed to maybe a forehand throw there. So that's something a bit harder to calculate with when you have
I've said it before,
players, yeah.
I'll say it again, being left-handed is cheating.
And Wolpertinger respond with a deep shot of their own. It's going into the end zone. Oh! An unfortunate drop as the disc was going over the head of Lorenz Kniep.
I think he just got caught a little bit underneath the disc there, and it made it awkward for him to try and read, as that one is going to get given straight back.
Great Huckendee opportunity there for Wolpertinger. They just need one good pass into the end zone, and they do get it for a nice, safe layout grab by Hartmann.
And that'll make the score 4-2 here at EMUCC, the European Masters Ultimate Club Championships. Live from Wrocław, Poland. You're getting a second look at that turnover with Bergman. Trying to pop up to grab that one in, but it just about got away from him there. Maybe showing a little too much of the underside of the disc to the wind on that throw.
Ungermann with the assist. So, as helpless as the Munich team looked at the start of this game, they're sticking quite close. Hardfisch won't let that gap close easily, I don't think.
Again, it was always going to be a question of, you could see that there's quality in Vulpetinga. Just at what point was it going to come out?
Absolutely. It's been a team that has been on top of German Ultimate for quite some time. Now, obviously, Hardfisch have done a great job with their development. They have two teams now. The players of this Masters team being a mix of both those teams, based on age, obviously.
And it's something a little bit different from the Vulpetinga defense, coming out slightly zonally, and a nice scuba over the top there from Meistering to initiate the play. They're currently leaving these little pops and crashes through, and there is that approach that you can't really go broke taking a profit. So they might just continue to crash that in there for those short little gains. Instead they go around. Here's Dreyer. Just very calm. There is a little bit of wind. You might be able to hear it somewhat on the effects microphone. It's kind of coming towards the camera and slightly right to left as you look at it. Back in the hands now of Meistering. See the lefty, but more than capable using that right hand for those little offhand backhands to pop through. Finds a way to side his way through the cup there, but there's no continuation downfield. Neuhauser. Oh, that throw is low, and it just skipped off the hands of Dreyer.
Tactically, a great move from Wolpertinger there with the zone. Always keeping the opponent on their toes on what they're going to do defensively, and it works. They finally force a throwaway. Gerstenberg finds Moreau.
And unfortunately for Moreau, that one sticks out of his hands as well. Lead throw will try and get it in one pass. And you can hear that the Hardfisch sideline liked that look. Just a lovely little lead flick into the end zone for a receiver to run onto. Restores Hardfisch's 3-point lead. Maybe a little bit unhappy that they turned over first time against the zone. But fortunately for them, Wolpertinger gave the disc right back. And at the second time of asking, Hardfisch didn't need didn't hang about.
So we'll see the replay. Hardfisch get to the disc really quickly. And despite the defenders trying to get to the end zone on time, Hardfisch just get there quicker. So we do need a bit more support from the fans watching at home for Munich to keep a nice, tight, exciting first game of this tournament. If you do want to, please comment in the YouTube stream. Interact with us.
Yeah, hello to everyone listening live and getting involved in our live chat. And for those of you listening on watching on demand, well, you can't quite do that because it won't be live anymore. But always happy to read out various YouTube comments and see people getting involved with ULTI.TV. Here's Vulpetinga, absolutely launching that deep through Seiler.
Who's going to read it better? And a quick pop into the end zone. That was a beautiful throw, beautiful deep shot from Tyler, who decided, nope, I'm not going to try to wait for my dump to get free because he's clearly covered, and that's what Hardfisch are trying to protect really hard. So there's got to be a space somewhere that has opened up, and he found a wide open receiver very close to the end zone.
Yeah, Pasternak's probably not the tallest target on the field, but what he does well is he boxes nice and early. He reads the disc, he slows down ever so slightly to keep the defender on his heels, and then he's given himself a little space to attack the disc, and then a continuation throw to Hartmann for the goal. Makes the score 5-3. So you can hear the referees. No referees, of course, in ultimate. Yeah, the volunteers is what I meant to say. Play their whistles over towards our right-hand side.
And that's the second score for Hartmann already. He just seems to be in the right place every time for the easy score.
Deep ball caught on the end zone line by Hardfisch. More zone look coming out now from Wolpertinger. This time it feels like Hardfisch are deliberately trying to move the disc with a bit more verve and pace. Don't want to get this let this defense get set. And that's a lovely little leading backhand there. Continuation towards the end zone. Wow! Talk about slicing and dicing from Hardfisch. There was nothing Wolpertinger could do that time.
They got around the zone pretty quickly this time. It is a bit hard to distinguish when there is a lot of wind, where it makes sense to come closer towards the thrower, and when the wind calms down and you can just play nice around longer passes. Again, this time an offhand backhand opens up the field with the pass through the first cup, and that was just very quick and efficient from Hardfisch there.
Yeah, one of the risks with various zones is that you often commit quite a lot of players close towards the disc, and if you can get past that line with only 2-3 players, then often you've got a numerical mismatch downfield, and it's just a question of finding the space and pinging it there, quickly, utilising that free player as often as you can. And you saw there, Hardfisch do that to devastating effect.
Absolutely agree. Trump receives for Wolpertinger. Wenzel now tries to center the disc, but a little miscommunication or an unprecise throw causes Wolpertinger to turn.
Yeah, I'm not sure how much Visa knew about that, D, but I'm sure he'll happily take the credit for it. Also, as back on offense, Hardfisch, I want to say that loved the huck fake that got Schnittger taking an absolutely massive bite out of that on the mark. He was fully sold. He signed the paperwork and everything. Looks for the reset, but there's a pick called downfield, probably a fair few seconds ago.
Pretty good dump defense there from Wolpertinger as they prevent the pass towards the break side.
Decided that it's not really effective, so Schwanker, he's going to keep possession here and begins it by dumping back. Visa working it underneath once more. Again, trying to utilise the width of the field. Really stretched their German opponents laterally. And then as soon as they overcommit to the break side, a simple question of beating your mark to that front cone. Another break for Hardfisch. They're within 1.5 at 7-3.
What I really like about this Hardfisch offense is that it's almost impossible to stop because they do fake the break really hard, the around, and they're hoping to get a continuation there. But if it's not on, they're just happy to take the first open pass they find. And if Wolpertinger don't let them deep, they just go short. And that's just, when you have to cover all the options, look at that. No up line. He looks for the around, gets it there. Big fake to the break side. The defender has to commit, and then there's wide open people on the open side.
Yeah, it's always been my opinion that you should always throw to players who are open, even if they're not quote-unquote positive passes. I find if you look off open people in favour of potentially a better option later on, that's generally when you get yourself into high stall counts.
And Wolpertinger again deep in their end zone, but that hasn't stopped them before to score. But an overthrow on the slightly upwind throw.
And the most nonchalant just smack down D as they want to strike to take it to half. And I thought Oort was going to lands straight in the hands of Tobias Mareka. And I think maybe he was just too lackadaisical with that, because he didn't quite go up and catch that early. Thought it might fall in his lap, and the Wolpertinger defenders did enough to stop it going to hand.
Ungermann signaling that it will be a turnover and no foul called. Gerstenberg, we might as well call him Flaw, as he tends to mess up people's names himself. Now a central handler calling a foul on the mark.
Of course, as you know, professional commentators, we've never messed up anyone's names before in our lives.
That's right. Especially the foreign ones. Lindemann now working with Ungermann in handling. Nice defensive effort there. Pasternak gets the disc. Doesn't take the dump pass and goes deep eventually. It's a nice throw, but defender gets underneath quickly enough.
Yeah, we can hear because it was right in front of us. The stall count was already getting as high as 8. So rather than take the stall out, put it deep, see if you can get an opportunity to A, give a receiver a chance to make a play, or B, if not, at least gain some field position. On that occasion, the disc probably was going to come in, might have come back in bounds, but the Hardfisch defenders, obviously, why take the chance? Just go out of bounds because you're allowed to, smack it away, and get your offense reset. And that's why you don't mind taking the punt.
Woo! And a quick dish into the hands of the offense. And Vulpetinga, they stay still pretty close. Hardfisch slowly increasing the gap in line with their motto on their jerseys, which says not enough. But Munich is not ready to give up just yet.
Look, I know this is the first game, and we'll watch and stream a lot of Frisbee this week. But I don't know if we will see an easier score than that all weekend. This is the previous turnover, putting it deep on the high stall, and the Hardfisch defender doing the right thing, going out of bounds to knock it away, but turfing it on the first throw afterwards, and then where I came from, we called that we called that a Swedish, where you just kind of pop it into the player's hands in front of you. I think because a Swedish team must have done it at some point, and they found it very annoying. But it's perfectly legit. Why throw an angle to the back of the end zone where you can just always drop it into the player directly standing in front of you? Make it as easy as possible. If they don't cover it, why not take it?
So Wolpertinger again setting up in that zone. It has worked for them. It has generated the only few turnovers they've had in this game. So why not stick with it now that Hardfisch are going slightly upwind? They choose to take away the dump, but not completely.
Yeah, Meistering wants to break the mark because he feels like they're trying to force him towards this sideline, I think. So it gives him a little bit more room to work with if he breaks the mark to start, and maybe puts the defense a little bit more out of position. Meistering is he's really the maestro of this offense, it seems. Manipulating players this way and back, threads it through there to Fergman, and now it's worked its way all the way over to the far side. Swinging it back and forth at will. Looks like there might be... I thought they were going to call to transition there, but decided better of it, or it might have come from a different field. Here's Meistering. Again, finds a way to squeeze it across to the far side of the field. Star dumps the disc back off. Sneaky one through there into the hands of Neuhauser. Again, if they don't see what they're like downfield, they're not hanging about. They're continuing to move the disc quickly, swinging it back and forth, making these defenders work, really tiring out their legs in this first game of the 3-day weekend.
I don't know if Hardfisch are doing this on purpose, but tactically, what a wonderful idea to put the lefty Meistering to this side of the field, where he can put a lot more pressure and spin on the upwind throw, and he's really slicing through the first cup there whenever he needs to, not to the dump player, to the dump handler, but really through the cup towards the middle of the field.
I will say this is a nice little red zone stand here for Wolpertinger, because they've been about between the halfway line and the brick mark for a very long time without ever gaining too much ground.
I also feel like Hardfisch are really trying to practice their zone offense as well, because they're moving the disc. Oh, just as I say that, of course, almost a turnover.
But tracked down inbounds by Fergman. Meistering goes all the way over to the near side. They don't like the first end zone shot, so they're going to put it back into the hands of the orchestrator, Meistering.
Wolpertinger staying nice and flat on the first cup, creating less opportunities to stick the disc through them.
Spectre goes to Dreyer. And again, they don't look flustered at all. They've seen this all before on multiple occasions. So, oh, that flutterguts practice coming in handy there. That's the diciest it's looked so far this point. And a nice little throw and go initiated. There's a space through the middle there, but maybe a little bit slow to take it, and it closes back up. Now they find it in the hands of Fergman. Dished off to Meistering. He's got this swing available. He's going to sit it out there on the wind.
I absolutely love the second that Meistering took there, holding the disc, looking for the holes in the zone, and he finds it, but I don't think his teammate was expecting it.
No, you've always got to be ready, and especially for that receiver hadn't really been involved in too much of the play, and the blade, maybe with the wind, it just died earlier than they were expecting. And for Vulpetinga, well, you made them work, and eventually just maybe the sheer quantity of passes told off, because Hardfisch turned over on the very final shot, and Wolpertinger, with the disc in their hands and a chance to get their first break back, have taken a timeout.
Probably a smart move after that tiring defense, and knowing that a break at this point would be super beneficial to keep tight and stay in this game.
And a huge one goes deep.
Becky has it in her grasp, and it's a goal! My goodness, Elise Becker, you legend!
The break side, Murphy, then floats that one out. Huge bid, gets the touch. What a grab! DV!
So just a sneak preview of what we've got coming up later this summer here on ULTI.TV, and as well as watching it live. You can buy tickets to the event to see the London Invite in person, and the link to do so is in the video description. Meanwhile, here in Wrocław, Poland, at the European Masters Ultimate Club Championships, we've got an all-German affair in the Open Masters division between Hardfisch and Vulpetinga. You've got a sneak preview of us on camera there as well. It's Benji Rees alongside Rahel Toshnerova.
And Wolpertinger will set up in a 2-5. No, 3-5. 3-4.
3-4, I just say.
A 3-4, but sort of a T-stack, as I like to call it.
Ooh, T-stack, I like that.
Moreau finds Wenzel in the middle. Wenzel now moving the disc quickly to Trump. Hartmann. Oh, a double grab. Moreau will keep the disc.
Yeah, Spectre immediately saying, yeah, that's fine. Back on his feet, good spirit. Between the two German sides.
And a deep shot to kind of no one, or else directly into the hands of Meistering.
Yeah, you can see what the plan was, but on a high stall, defense read it better, trying to track this one into the end zone and jump it in. Goal signalled. Alessio Meloni, he's got that deep speed for Hardfisch, and he put the burners on there. 0-0 with the wheels. And Meloni scores for Hardfisch to take us into half 8-4. And that, I think, has been a pretty good half for Hardfisch, although from a Wolpertinger perspective, given the way they started, they're definitely not out of this contest.
Alessio Meloni with the score. One of the playing coaches, actually the only playing coach for Hardfisch, as Tim Grunewald is on the sideline, and Lucas Kleinjohann, unfortunately staying at home due to COVID, together with one other player for Hardfisch. But they don't seem to be missing them too much.
No, maybe as the weekend develops, you might miss some of those legs. Although, as we saw here, Maloney, he's got the gas, hasn't he? Because he made that up with a bit of time to spare. The two teams are going to take a little break for half time. We're going to do the same, but don't go anywhere because we'll be back with you very shortly.
We are a group of ultimate players, coaches and video enthusiasts. We've worked with the major federations and the greatest events.
We're on a mission to make Ultimate huge. We want our videos and live streams to be free to watch.
We want to make stories that not only reach you,
but also reach people outside the Ultimate community.
Like and subscribe, ULTI.TV, the best in the world.
Become a member and
fund
fund
our work to cover more events in the future and to bring more stories and live coverage to the eyes of the Ultimate world and beyond.
Welcome back to ULTI.TV's coverage of EMUCC, the European Masters Ultimate Club Championships, here just outside the Olympic Stadium in Wrocław, Poland. It is Benjamin Rees alongside Rahel Toshnerova, bringing you the second half of our first game of the weekend from the Open Masters division, with two German teams going head-to-head. Hardfisch from Hamburg against Wolpertinger of Munich.
A little German derby to start you off with this weekend. Wolpertinger so far pulling on the shorter end of the string during the first half. One of the Hardfisch coaches finishing up with a score for the halftime. Both teams, we've seen them employ different kinds of zones. Hardfisch so far doing a better job getting the disc back in the cases where they did lose it. And now a beautiful grab. Felix Vogt gets the disc, gets quite a gainer against the zone. Now Hardfisch transitioning to match defense. Quick upline pass.
It was a little bit behind the intended target, but they made it work. And then on the scoring shot, Hardfisch defenders are there again. Maybe just guilty of trying to jam that one in a little bit.
Disc goes a bit too high for Florian Lindemann. And two defenders kind of sandwich him and get the D.
But Wolpertinger really making Hardfisch struggle here. Hammer goes towards the far side, but I think there is a stall out called. You can see the hand signal taking place. Obviously for these sides they will have a common language.
Maybe a foul actually on the mark. But doesn't matter because, like you said, Benji, there was a call before that. A little discussion taking place, nice and calm so far. The testosterone is not kicking in just yet, or at least not so hard.
Everyone's retaking their previous positions, at least what feels like the previous positions. That was a long time ago now. I think everyone's forgotten. I know I have. Goes for that no pivot, okie doke around backhand, and just about gets the disc off from that high stall situation. Schnittger does the job. Now they're trying to sneak it down the side and a nice break into the middle. Might get Hardfisch off to the races. That throw floats a bit, but no problems for Baumeister. Now in the hands of Schnittger. Schnittger absolutely leathers that one. But there's a Wolpertinger defender right there in the form of Florian Lindemann.
He redeems himself for the lost pass in the end zone. And yet another deep shot, this time collected perfectly by Gerstenberg, who's right in front of the end zone. Looking for a pass to put for the score. Can't find it, is forced to swing it. But no lost possession. And they do have an open Lindemann in the end zone. So for a second try, he gets the score, and that's an important hold for Wolpertinger.
Yeah, this time, rather than have the patience to work it under, as soon as Seiler got the disc, he thought, yeah, why not? Absolutely launched a forehand deep. It was well reeled in by Gerstenberg, and then the sideline was calling very loudly for the swing. And after a couple of opportunities, we eventually got it as well.
I don't mind it. When you're in front of the end zone, you do want to really look like you just want to put it in for a long time, because the swing will always be there if everyone is so well covered in the end zone.
So 8-5 now, first point of the second half in the books. 90-minute games here this weekend. And at the moment, this game feels like it's really racing by. But of course, there's plenty of time left. The sun is even beginning to bathe the fields here in Wrocław.
As the players are warming up to the fields and to the venue. Oh!
Hello!
A huge hand block. That was Jürgen Winter.
Yeah, maybe Meistering getting a little bit greedy with that one, too cheeky, and the door was shut in his face.
A very important turnover for Wolpertinger. They just need to stay calm. Hartmann in front of the end zone. We've seen him scoring several times in this game already, and what a grab! Wow, I want to see that on a replay. He was thinking about letting it go for the player behind him, but there was also a defender, so actually a great job trying to keep that one in its own hands.
whatever Wolpertinger must have said in their half-time huddle seems to have worked, because that's their first break of the game, coming out, you know, scored the first point after half, a hold there, and then broke here. And this hammer is really pinged, and he's craning back over his head and makes the catch well. So just the 2 points separate the teams now. Hardfisch 8 and Vulpetinga 6. It's yeah, tell you what, it's simmering nicely now, this game.
That's right.
Hardfisch, they might run away with it after the first few points, but credit to Vulpetinga, because they've re-established themselves well.
I feel like Hardfisch are ready to run a tiny bit harder than Wolpertinger. But at the same time, Wolpertinger seem to be really thinking hard about the opportunities this gives them, or that this leaves them with, and they're using them really well.
Yeah, one of the things I always enjoy watching about the Masters division is seeing players really flex that grey matter. try and work out some problems. Darius, the TD, just walks past our tent. Gives us a big thumbs up, which I assume is a good sign. More zone coming out from Wolpertinger. And this time they found a way to get the disc into the hands of Meistering downfield. Again, swinging it, gaining yards as they do so. Neuhauser. They're just working it around pretty calmly and confidently at the moment, Hardfisch. And that is some slick zone offense. Slicker than an oil spill. In the end, to Herflin for the goal.
It seemed like a bit of miscommunication there on the sideline between the deep and wing defender of the Wolpertinger zone. But that's okay. I think Hardfisch are allowed to have one clean offense once in a while.
So something I was always taught about, if you're playing against a zone and you're rather than being, say, back as a handler and you're further downfield, I won't use the term cutter because you don't really tend to cut so much, you want to be marked by you either want to be marked by 2 people or no people. Because if you're not marked by anyone, well, then you're not marked by anyone, so you're open. And if you're marked by 2 people, well, you've got 2 people, so someone else should be open somewhere. So the thing you don't want to do is to make it easy where the other team can be like, right, I'll take this person there, because you're all spread. You've already put yourselves in those zones. You're trying to find overloads and find those gaps you can create.
And we'll be dropping a lot more bits of knowledge and experience upon you all weekend. So make sure to stay tuned as a high disc goes up, 2 people underneath. Oh, and an out of bounds call. Hoivisa unable to keep the disc in.
So they put it back in, but if we get a chance to replay it, there is something I want to point out there. Here we are, disc back in play now with Hardfisch. Looking to reopen that 3-point lead.
Wolpertinger employing some switches downfield, being very smart about not having to run too much.
Want to be efficient with that movement.
Unnecessarily, right. Wind picking up again.
At the moment they're happy. Very nearly a miscommunication there, but an outstretched right hand brings it in, and now they're working quickly back towards the end zone. Defenders get a chance to get reset. Up line cut comes. Can they squeeze into that space? They can! It's Falkenberg with the catch to make it 9-6.
You can see Dreyer a bit unhappy with leaving his O-player go up line. He clearly slept in a little bit on that defensive move.
So this is the turnover out of this sideline here. What I like is that immediately you can see there his teammate in the back immediately points to call him out of bounds, and that's, again, competitive European Championship, and yet good spirit still prevailing there, and you love to see it. Here's a replay of the score, just that up line cut. France tries to see if he can take that inside line to cut off that window, but the throw goes up nice and early, and that outside in roll curve leads him into the end zone for the score, and that'll make it 9-6.
10-6.
10-6.
Yeah. Unfortunately for
Yeah,
Wolpertinger, Hardfisch take the break right back immediately on the next opportunity. And Wolpertinger need to work that much harder.
It must be so frustrating to get that break and then only to have it taken away from you at the first time of asking. This floats a little bit towards the far side, not a problem though.
Vogt working with Gerstenberg and Hartmann in handling. Now they finally outnumber the defenders in the cup. Finding the holes. All they need is a nice pass over the first cup. There are players open. Forcing Hardfisch to transition yet again. Now they move towards the dangerous sideline, but they get it off. Gertenberg with a great slice to Vogt. Number 23, just outside the end zone, and here's the little pop to a wide open receiver. I hope that was Wenzel, but I'm not sure all the numbers match up to our rosters. Great clean offense now from Munich for a change.
Yeah, it was interesting that, because started with the zone for from Hardfisch, and then Vulpetinga worked their way through that pretty quickly, and then the transition came, and rather than see if they could find a player free and just quickly jam it in, they were like, okay, we're happy just to play this and reset this around the back until we can transition what we want to do downfield into a setup we're more comfortable with and find different ways to attack that. Going from, okay, we're playing zone style offense to they've gone straight one-on-one and matching up, so let's get into that tight vertical set in the middle so we've got that big break side space to attack.
But honestly, as much as I love the Munich team, it has a lot of friends that I used to play with about 10 years ago when I did Erasmus there. I am afraid that Hardfisch are just not really feeling too much pressure from them right now, and they feel pretty comfortable trying out different things, switching lines, and as much as I wish we would see a tighter game, I feel like Hardfisch are just ready to take this one home without any trouble.
So Hardfisch coming back out on offense here, and it's more zone this time from their Munich opponents in Wolpertinger. Meistering is more than happy to take the reins of the offense now, it seems, but they've got a good swing down that far sideline, gaining a few yards. As soon as it feels like Wolpertinger's defense might set, the disc keeps moving.
I'm really liking that deep every time the disc goes through the first cup.
Yeah, it's so frustrating as a defender when that goes through, because it feels like your whole reason for being has been thwarted. Here's Meistering. Oh, what a throw to zip that in there.
An off-head one for him.
Yeah,
actually.
absolutely. The lefty using the righty backhand there, saw the window, and rather than change the grip, just got it out of his hands and absolutely zapped it into the end zone for Hardfisch to restore their 4-point lead. It's 11-7.
Hardfisch doing a really good job, really gelling those two halves from the two 1 and 2 teams, basically from Hamburg, where they mix the level of experience and the level of play in general, where you can see the less experienced or less less experienced players basically doing what they're asked to do, getting the disc and then giving it straight back or something like that, and then the experienced ones from the first team really working hard to make those passes easy for them, and also making sure they're opening up the field and being smart about their passes, really distributing the disc where it needs to go to make it difficult for the defense to defend.
Yeah, players knowing what their role is.
In short, yes.
Yeah. Here's more offense now from Wolpertinger.
Floaty pass finds his intended receiver. Now they try to change the angle of attack with another high flick, but this time it goes over the head of Felix Vogt. And that's an unfortunate turn for Wolpertinger.
Yeah, ambitious shot. I like the idea, but the execution was just not right. It feels a very indoorsy style throw, that, and maybe a little bit of a breeze just sailed it on the receiver and didn't really give them much of a shot.
And just like I keep adding the word Wolf into the Wolpertinger name, I think Wolpertinger really need to find the wolves in themselves to get the D here.
Big yard gaining swing out to space. Players take off deep, but I think Wolpertinger knew that was going to happen. Instead, they're going to continue to swing back and forth. Mareka up line is going to sail ever so slightly, but reeled well in by Schwanke. Again, when they need that reset cut, it's there from Valkenburg, although this might go back on the pick.
A nice pumping pick signaling.
Yeah, good arm action there on those hand signals. Check back in. This time Valkenburg takes off up line, snatches it past Gestenberg.
These upline cuts from Hardfisch making it really difficult for the Wolpertinger defense.
Mark sags off a little bit to clog the break side space and now slowly gets back into position. Mareka back to Valkenburg. I thought he might challenge take the break throw on there, but he's got the wide open under, and that's an easier pass as that one shot to the end zone.
I think this has been the best match defense we've seen out of Wolpertinger so far. They did a pretty good job, again, in that last third of the field where they protected their own end zone. But again, that upline cut to the open side, it seems to be what's breaking them from Hardfisch. And yeah, that's another break. Hardfisch, again, extending their lead.
Yeah, 12-7, now a 5-point lead. And Wolpertinger, they started the second half brightly, held the first point and then broke on the second to make it 8-6. And since that point, unfortunately, it's been a 4-1 run for their opponents, Hardfisch. Gave themselves that advantage in the first half, and they're actually extending it now in the second. So it's getting late early in this contest for Wolpertinger. But first game of the weekend, there's still plenty of Frisbee left to play for both sides. Of course, not just over the weekend, but also in this game. One of the great things about Ultimate is that as long as you need to score that last point to win, it ain't over until it's over.
So this is the time for all the fans at home watching, for all the kids cheering for their fathers to get ready. But unfortunately, a drop on the first pass, or a turnover on the first pass.
It's Trump wearing that bucket hat that actually matches the uniform, and credit for that, who can't quite claw that one in, maybe a little bit too far out in front. And now Hardfisch really trying to see if they can turn the screw. High release backhand towards this near side. Schnittger continues back around the field. There's Fergman. This is looking slick from a Hardfisch. Just outside the end zone, still not quite over the goal line. Collect that one in, nice fast hands. And the scoring shot towards the back of the end zone. That cut towards the back cone is going to work. Another break for Hardfisch. They're, I was going to say running, maybe swimming away with it now.
And Wolpertinger goes into another timeout. They still have one more for this half. And I appreciate this. I think this is the moment where some of the players might be really low mentally, where they got broken twice, and Hardfisch are getting dangerously close to that 15-point hard cap. So this is a wonderful moment to just take some time and really recollect and think about what can still be taken out of this game. If not victory, is there anything that we can improve on, work on, and practice? I would really like to highlight the dump defense by Wolpertinger in this last point, which almost got a turnover, but eventually the disc got thrown to the break side, so actually a broken mark. But that's something that could definitely eventually get the turnovers they need. So it's just that, a little bit.
Hardfisch breaking that huddle quite quickly, which is, you know, they're keen, they're raring to go. They want to...
Not enough, Benji. Not enough.
Never enough.
Never enough.
They want to, you know, A, because, you know, they don't necessarily have that much to say, but B, you again, it's a little bit of that mind games maybe. that you're putting out there saying, we don't even need to take the full 2 minutes. We've got this line out there, ready to go. Let's play some more Frisbee. Sun's really definitely come out to play now, which is, I must say,
Yay.
a warm and welcome addition. It was a little bit cloudy and grey this morning. Nice early start for our team here. We were ready to go at the fields by what, about 7:15?
Yep, about that. Eggs for breakfast definitely helped.
Yeah, we were too early for the breakfast at the canteen in our dorms, which is, I must admit, frustrating.
That's right, but we had some lovely volunteers, including me, bringing them over to our tents.
As always, shout out to the volunteers. These
So,
tournaments do not happen without them.
about 5 hands raised on the side of Wolpertinger, ready to receive one of the last pulls in this game. Hartmann is surrounded by the Hardfisch players, but manages to find his teammate eventually.
Yeah, there was a defender in the area, but just about managed to make that catch under tight pressure.
Lots of space behind the second cup, and finally he finds Vogt, who does go for the immediate continuation into the end zone, and it works out. And that's a grab. That's a grab, and that's a score. That is exactly where they need to look, right behind that second cup, right behind all the Hardfisch players that are surrounding the thrower.
Yeah, Vogt was waiting there. The question was whether the Hardfisch players would pull the trigger on that over the top, and I think maybe hurried by the stall count, thought, you know what, I've got to get rid of this somehow. Just releases this beautiful hammer over the top. And there's this sideline shot. There's not a huge window there, not a lot of margin for error, but zings it in there, and thought maybe there was a chance that the defender was going to make the bid, but in the end it's too far out in front, and the gap is reduced slightly to 30 late.
Great quick point for Vulpetinga. Now they can really focus on improving their defense and trying to get a break. They have done it before in this game, in this half actually, so it's not impossible.
Yeah, the thing will be, A, can they get one, and can they get the first one, and then B, can they string a few of those together?
That's right. Pull does not sail out of bounds, and they will stick with their zone. Actually, no.
Thought they might be, but maybe just it looked like we weren't sure. I think they are indeed sticking with a slightly to junk this up, but that's a nice zip through the cup there. Rises slightly, but not a problem for Fergman. Now is forced to hold on to it for a little bit. Offhand, backhand again from Meistering.
I would actually try to take Meistering a bit out of the game, exactly like they're doing now.
See if maybe you can get an and one zone, so having him just complete with a man marking him at all times. It's a potential option. Again, that's a nice find through. This time it's Spectre piecing apart this zone, and then popped into the front. Cool as you like from Hardfisch. It's number 22, Jan Herflin, with the goal, and 1 point away now. 14-8.
It really isn't that hard to play against a zone with no pressure on your shoulders, knowing that you just need to wait and look for the open options. There will always be somebody free.
Sorry, Rachel, I was just going to say, especially if the wind's dropped a little bit, which it has.
Exactly.
It's not causing the same kind of questions, posing the same kinds of questions, or causing the same kinds of problems as it was earlier. Mix my metaphors up there.
A potential game point on our hands in the first German derby out of many this weekend.
Yeah, there's a good German presence across all three divisions here this weekend. The Open Masters, as we're seeing here, the Open Grandmasters and the Masters Mix, the largest division of the three. 7 Open Masters, 6 Open Grandmasters, and 16 Mixed Masters. So 29 teams altogether.
So Hardfisch choose to stick with their zone, practice it a bit more, maybe close off the passes behind the cup, but Vogt again finds the disc behind the cup. And a high disc! Defender gets there first. Wow. Just a bit too much float on some of these passes from Vulpetinga, and that's kind of been the story all game.
Yeah, we saw earlier how Passenac made a really good box, but that one was too floaty, and players coming at it from different angle couldn't create that separation, and it was ripped out of the sky by the much taller defender. This one was an awkward catch, but well made. They're orchestrating it underneath. Can they punch it in? No. Just the adrenaline got the better of them maybe on that occasion.
I think Hürten has been one of the players who has been returning the disc quite often back to the handlers, kind of centering it, not taking too many difficult or rash decisions as he did right just now. And unfortunately for him, it resulted in a turnover. And Wolpertinger stay alive, yet stuck on the sideline, stuck in the small right corner of their own end zone.
It's an unenviable position for an offense to be in, trying to hammer over the top, and against a taller player tries to go up early, but can't make the catch. And again, Hardfisch will get another chance to end this game on defense.
Winter slightly giving up on the defense, looking for a player, can't find anyone.
And with no mark, just waiting for the right option to appear. Eventually it's found, and that will do it. GG's all round. Hardfisch beat their German rivals Wolpertinger by a final score of 15-8, and overall I think you have to say they were good value for it, Rachel.
I agree. I think it was a good example of what we're about to experience this weekend. Lots of thinking, lots of adjusting, lots of smart playing. Just the gap there was a bit bigger than I think the Munich team would have wanted.
And that will draw a close to our coverage of the first game of the weekend here at EMUCC, the European Masters Ultimate Club Championships. We're going to take a little bit of a break before the next game, but don't worry because streams will return shortly, and we are switching over to the Mixed Masters division for our second game of the day. But for the meantime, your final score here is Hardfisch 15, Vulpetinga 8, and we will see you on the other side.
Vielen Dank. Merci beaucoup.
ULTI.TV.